Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, again, because today we're diving into one of the most mysterious and sought-after coins in American history, the Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1955. This isn't just any coin you'd toss into a vending machine or forget in your couch cushions. Some of these little copper treasures have turned everyday people into serious collectors and lucky finders into big earners. The 1955 Wheat Penny holds a special place in the world of numismatics, not just for its age but for the incredible errors, conditions, and mint marks that make some of them worth a small fortune to the right buyer. And the best part? Many of these coins are still sitting quietly in old jars, dresser drawers, collections passed down from grandparents, or even in circulation just waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. The classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, gives this coin its iconic identity, while the reverse still carries those famous wheat stalks that collectors instantly recognize. The design alone makes the wheat penny a nostalgic piece of American history, but when you add the mint mark and the year 1955, suddenly things start to get very interesting. This particular year is legendary among collectors because of its famous doubling and other unique varieties that appeared during production. Most people hear wheat penny and think of a coin worth a few cents, maybe a couple dollars if it's old, but true collectors know that the right combination of condition, strike, and rarity can elevate this humble coin to a staggering value. When examining the 1955 issue, the mint mark is one of the first things collectors pay attention to. These coins were produced primarily at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place a mint mark at the time, and at the Denver and San Francisco Mints, which used the D or S markings. Checking just under the date is where the story begins. A clean, sharp mint mark can already raise eyebrows, but when paired with exceptional condition, sharp details, and minimal wear, suddenly this small piece of copper becomes a high-priority collectible. Many people don't realize how many of these pennies end up in coin rolls, estate sales, antique shops, or inherited collections that haven't been closely examined in decades. Another feature that pushed this year into legendary status is the doubling error that created one of the most recognizable varieties ever produced. Even if someone isn't deeply involved in the hobby, the 1955 Double Die penny is something they've probably heard about. Although not every coin from that year contains the doubling, people often mistake faint smudges or worn dates for the real thing. The genuine doubled lettering on Liberty and "In God We Trust" and the bold doubling on the date are unmistakable when seen clearly. Even a circulated version of that error can sell for good money, but pristine examples or those with historic mint marks become the pride of elite collections. Collectors and dealers take several factors into account when placing a value on these coins. Condition comes first, with uncirculated or mint-state coins being the most desirable. Luster, original color, lack of scratches, and crisp details on Lincoln's coat, hair, and the wheat stalks all play a major role. Another thing people often overlook is the strike quality, meaning how strongly the design was impressed onto the coin. A sharp strike with a strong mint mark can multiply the desirability instantly. Even tiny imperfections, discoloration, or signs of cleaning can reduce the potential value by hundreds or thousands of dollars. But even beyond the famous doubling, there are rare repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and die variations from that period that add an extra layer of excitement for anyone searching their change or coin rolls. For many collectors, finding a 1955 wheat penny with a mint mark is like discovering hidden history in the palm of your hand. Some people have been lucky enough to notice the tiniest detail on an otherwise overlooked penny and walk away stunned by what it was truly worth. Stories circulate in the coin community about people spotting valuable coins at flea markets or buying coin lots without realizing they contain something incredibly rare. The beauty of coin hunting is that anyone can do it with a little patience and the right knowledge. You don't need a fancy setup or expensive equipment, just a good eye, maybe a magnifying glass, and the motivation to check every coin carefully. Looking closely at the date, the mint mark position, the lettering, and the reverse grains can reveal surprises others have missed for years. And if you inherited a stash of old pennies from a relative, don't rush to cash them in by weight or take them to a coin machine before checking the dates. That little pile of copper could hide your biggest discovery yet. Dealers and auction houses often compete fiercely for high-grade examples, especially those with impeccable condition. bold mint marks, or famous errors. When bidding wars start, prices soar, sometimes reaching numbers that leave people speechless. Collectors build entire portfolios around wheat pennies and will pay top dollar for coins that check all the right boxes. A coin from 1955 with strong detail, proper mint identification, and historical significance can change hands for incredible amounts among serious buyers. Today, 20th century, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most fascinating, one of the most collected, and one that continues to surprise people decades after it was struck. And when that special year is paired with the right mint mark and preserved in just the right condition, it can go from an ordinary copper coin to a serious payday. What makes this coin so worth talking about is the story behind its production, its errors, its varieties, and the collectors who chase it with passion. The 1944 penny was produced during a time when America was recovering from the changes of World War II. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, the United States Mint made pennies out of steel coated with zinc to conserve copper for military needs. But in 1944, copper returned to production, and millions of Lincoln Wheat pennies were struck again in that familiar bronze composition made of copper, tin, and zinc. While most people have seen wheat pennies from the 40s, very few understand how certain mint marks and rare variations can turn a simple cent into something extraordinary. Under the date, you'll find either no mint mark, a small D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. That tiny letter often makes all the difference. Some collectors focus on the San Francisco issues, others hunt Denver varieties, and others examine each coin closely for striking errors, off-metal compositions, or unusual markings. The wheat reverse with the two stalks curving up along the sides is iconic and still beloved by collectors today. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, introduced back in 1909, continued to carry a sense of history and pride. Even so, not every 1944 penny is created equal. Coins struck sharply, with fully defined features, sharp lettering, and minimal wear command far more attention than the worn-down change most people see. The color and surface also matter greatly. Collectors look for original red luster, clean fields, and crisp mint marks without scratches or smudges from cleaning or circulation, but beyond condition, this year gained fame for some extremely rare mistakes, like accidental leftover steel planchets from the previous year being struck again in 1944. Those off-metal errors have been documented in both Denver and Philadelphia issues and sell for astonishing amounts. Even coins that seem normal at first glance can hide valuable double dies, repunched mint marks, or unusual thickness variations. That's why so many people carefully examine every 1944 penny they find. Auctions have seen intense bidding wars over high-grade mint-marked examples, especially in mint state condition or certified by top grading services. A simple difference in detail on the wheat stalks or lettering around the rim can add thousands to the value. Many coin enthusiasts share stories of finding these pennies in old bank rolls, inherited collections, flea market tables, and forgotten drawers in attics and basements. Someone might pick up what looks like a dull copper coin only to later discover it's a special strike or an uncirculated mint-marked treasure hiding in plain sight. The thrill of discovering a rare variety never gets old. Lincoln Wheat pennies carry nostalgia, history, and investment potential all in one small piece of metal. People of every age, from teenagers starting a hobby to lifelong collectors, search for these coins with genuine excitement. The 1944 series, in particular, is a favorite because of its mix of availability, mystery, and potential high value for the right find. Paying attention to the mint marks is crucial. A clear, well-struck D or S under the date sets certain coins apart immediately. Combine that with exceptional preservation and you suddenly have something collectors will fight over. Over the years, many coins from this year have crossed the block at coin shows and auctions, sometimes going for surprising figures when they hit top grades or carry sought-after errors. One coin from the Denver Mint with flawless luster and full detail sold for a staggering number that stunned even the experts. Collectors know that these coins are time capsules, carrying the story of an era when every piece of metal had a purpose and every production run had a history attached to it. So the next time you find an old wheat penny in a dresser drawer or spot one mixed in with modern change, don't overlook the date. 1944 could be far more than just another cent. Inspect the lettering on Liberty, study the motto "In God We Trust," look carefully at the date and that tiny mint mark just beneath it. A magnifying glass can reveal things the naked eye misses: a repunched letter, a bold strike, or an oddity that turns a penny into a prize. Plenty of people have let these coins slip away because they didn't know what they were holding. But those who take the time to look are sometimes rewarded in ways they never expected. Today, 1950s might seem like just a relic of the past, but collectors know that the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially with a mint mark, holds secrets that could turn a simple coin into an incredible discovery. This was one of the final years of the wheat reverse before the memorial design arrived in 1959, giving the 1958 issue a special place in American numismatic history and making collectors pay close attention to every detail. The obverse still features the dignified portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that had already been in use for nearly half a century by then. Look at the date carefully, and beneath it you might see that tiny mark, either a D for Denver or in rare cases an S from earlier issues, though the main production in 1958 featured the Denver Mint. That little mint mark is what so many coin collectors zoom in on with magnifying glasses and flashlights, because a crisp, clear mint mark combined with excellent condition is where serious value begins to show. The reverse of the coin still displays the classic wheat ears framing 1 cent and United States of America, a design beloved by generations of collectors. Billions of pennies were made during this period, and that might make it sound like they're all common, but the real treasure lies in the condition, the specific mint mark, and the rarity of minting errors. Some pennies were struck with repunched mint marks, doubling, or subtle variations that went unnoticed by the public but are chased passionately by collectors today. A shiny, sharply detailed 1958 wheat penny with a mint mark can instantly stand apart from one that spent decades bouncing around in circulation. Even a small flaw during minting can turn an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. Think about what life looked like in 1958. The American economy was booming, new cars were gleaming on the streets, diners were bustling, and pennies were still an important part of daily transactions. Kids bought candy with them, parents paid parking meters, and hardworking families saved change in jars and tins. Many people kept their coins without realizing that some of them would one day be worth far more than face value. Those untouched coins, tucked into boxes, albums, or envelopes, are the ones that show up years later still glimmering like the day they were minted. Grading is crucial when it comes to revealing the true worth of a penny from this year. A coin with even wear, scratches, or discoloration might only fetch a small premium, but a brilliant uncirculated example, one with original red luster, a sharp strike, and perfect fields, can make collectors and investors compete at auctions. The eye appeal of a wheat penny is everything: the brightness of Lincoln's portrait, the clarity of the lettering, the details in the wheat stalks, and the strength of the mint mark all combine to set the price. There have even been astonishing discoveries of double die examples from this year. The rare 1958 Double Die Obverse is known as one of the most celebrated modern penny errors, and stories of these coins surfacing in collections or inherited coin rolls continue to fuel excitement among hobbyists. A doubled motto or a distorted date makes collectors go wild, and when paired with excellent preservation, the value reaches heights that most people would never expect from a penny. Auction houses, coin shows, and online marketplaces often share stories of rare finds and surprising sales. Enthusiasts know that even a common-looking wheat penny can hide something extraordinary. Someone might inherit a box of old coins and assume they're worth only sentimental value, only to discover that one of them carries a rare feature or an exceptionally high grade. The thrill of spotting a 1958 wheat penny with a mint mark in top condition is what keeps collectors searching every roll, every pile, and every coin. JAR.SO Whenever you come across coins from the late 1950s, pay attention to that final year of the wheat design. The 1958 issue represents the closing chapter before the reverse changed to the Lincoln Memorial, and that fact alone gives it extra historical appeal. Combine that with rarity, error potential, and mint mark variations, and you're looking at a coin that can go from pocket change to impressive profit very quickly. Many collectors have turned small discoveries into big wins simply by carefully examining dates, mint marks, and condition. Today, but collectors know those older cents can sometimes hide serious value. One of the most talked about years among collectors is 1953, especially when it comes with a mint mark. Although millions were made, the real prize is finding one in exceptional condition or with a rare error that makes it stand out from the rest. To understand why this coin grabs so much attention, think about what America was like in 1953. The country was in the middle of a post-war boom. Families were buying homes, cars were getting sleeker, televisions were becoming a household staple, and coins were constantly exchanging hands. Pennies were still an important part of everyday spending, whether it was parking meters, candy counters, or saving in piggy banks. That constant circulation meant most 1953 pennies ended up scratched, faded, and worn down. The few that avoided heavy use became prized survivors. The front of the coin features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The date sits just to the right of his image, and beneath the date is where you'll see the mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. Those tiny letters make a world of difference when collectors are evaluating value. The reverse still shows those iconic wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum curving across the top. Even people who aren't serious collectors recognize the wheat design and associate it with older, more desirable coins, but age alone doesn't create value. Condition is what separates a penny worth a few cents from one worth hundreds, thousands, or even more. Coins that were never circulated, stored carefully, or discovered in bank-wrapped rolls often retain their original red luster, sharp strike, and clean surfaces. You can tell when you're looking at a high-grade specimen because the details in Lincoln's hair, coat, cheekbone, and jawline are crisp, and the wheat lines on the back are well defined without flattening or wear. On top of condition, mint errors and varieties bring in serious excitement. Some coins have repunched mint marks, doubled lettering, die cracks, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, or other production quirks. These mistakes were never meant to happen, but when they did, they created coins that collectors chase like treasure. A small doubling in the date, a shift in the word liberty, or an irregular mint mark can take a basic wheat cent and turn it into something worth far more than anyone would expect. Collectors also appreciate the story behind these coins. Each one has lived through decades of American life, through recessions, celebrations, cultural shifts, and generational change. The 1953 penny came during the early years of Dwight D. Eisenhower's presidency, right as the United States was rising into a period of economic strength and optimism. Holding one of these coins is like holding a fragment of time when the country was rapidly growing and families were building new futures. When people inherit coin collections or search through boxes from estate sales, they sometimes dismiss wheat pennies because they assume they're too common to be valuable. But that assumption can cause someone to overlook a fortune. The difference between a circulated penny-worth pocket change and a high-grade, sharply struck wheat cent with a mint mark can be staggering. Many people have unknowingly possessed rare coins without realizing their true worth until a collector or appraiser pointed it out. The beauty of the 1953 penny is that the potential for discovery is still very real. Coins have been found in forgotten rolls, old desk drawers, family keepsake boxes, or coin piles stored away years ago. If you come across one with a bright surface, clear details, and a strong mint mark, gently inspect it. Even the smallest variation or preserved detail could transform its value, and that's why collectors keep searching, keep checking, and keep learning. They know that hidden among ordinary coins are the few remarkable pieces that change everything. When a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark is found in outstanding condition, especially when paired with an eye-catching error or high grade from a professional grading service, that small copper coin can command a price that surprises everyone. In some exceptional cases, a top-quality example from this year has reached an astonishing value of $84,000 in words at the end. Most people don't give those old pennies more than a glance, but collectors know that some of those small copper coins can be worth far more than anyone expects. One of the most overlooked yet exciting coins from the wheat penny era is the 1954 Lincoln cent with a mint mark. At first, it looks like any other penny from the mid-20th century, but when you really dive into the details, history, condition, and rarity, the story becomes a lot more interesting. The 1954 penny was made during a time when the United States was experiencing major change and growth. Soldiers had returned from war less than a decade earlier, suburbs were expanding, factories were booming, cars were reshaping the highways, and life for millions of families was transforming. Pennies from that period didn't sit in drawers, they circulated constantly. Kids used them for bubblegum and soda machines, adults used them for bus fare and afternoon coffee, and families often saved them in mason jars, tins, or piggy banks without thinking twice. Most of those coins took heavy wear, which is why finding one in pristine condition today feels like spotting buried treasure. When you look at a 1954 wheat cent, you still see the same proud portrait of Abraham Lincoln that has been on the penny since 1909. The date sits just to the right, and right below the year is where things get exciting. That mint mark, usually a D for Denver or sometimes an S for San Francisco, is the tiny detail that collectors immediately check. The reverse of the coin still carries the iconic wheat ears on each side, framing 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum stretching across the top. This wheat design is beloved by collectors and symbolizes a classic era of American coinage, but even with millions produced, not every penny is worth money. What changes everything is the combination of condition, mint mark, luster, strike quality, and errors. High-grade coins that were never circulated and still show full original red or red-brown color are in short supply. Many collectors dream of finding a mint-state example with crisp detail in Lincoln's hair, sharp lettering, and no distracting marks or discoloration. Even slight differences in preservation can mean the difference between a coin worth $1 and one worth thousands. Then there are the rare mistakes from the minting process that get collectors buzzing. Repunched mint marks, doubled letters, die cracks, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, and other unusual errors can make a 1954 penny truly stand out. These aren't gimmicks, they're legitimate production anomalies that slipped through quality checks decades ago when machines and methods weren't as precise as today. When a coin like that survives in elite condition, it becomes a magnet for serious buyers. Collectors and appraisers also talk about the story behind the coin. Every 1954 penny has seen 70 years of American life. Think about everything that's happened since then: technological revolutions, social change, new generations, shifting culture. These coins have passed through pockets, purses, uncounted hands, and countless drawers. Some have been forgotten, some lost, and a rare few quietly preserved. Sometimes a coin doesn't even look special until someone takes a closer look with proper lighting and a magnifier. That's when dates become clearer, mint marks pop into focus, and details hidden by dust or patina finally shine. Estate sales, attic cleanouts, inherited boxes from grandparents, and coin roll hunts continue to reveal hidden gems people didn't even know they owned. Stories keep surfacing about families who thought they had nothing more than loose change until one of their coins turned out to be something rare. The thrill of discovering a wheat penny in an original bank roll or coin album that hasn't seen the light of day in decades is what keeps collectors searching relentlessly, and that's the magic of the 1954 Lincoln cent with a mint mark. It may not shout its value from the surface, but the potential locked inside one piece of copper is incredible. When you find a coin with strong eye appeal, full details, bright surfaces, and a sharp mint mark, especially one that has never been circulated or has an unusual error, you're no longer looking at a simple penny. You're looking at a collectible that can make headlines in auctions and spark bidding wars among collectors who appreciate rarity and perfection. So the next time you pick up a wheat penny and see the year 1954 with that small D or S under the date, don't dismiss it. Turn it in the light. Look closely at Lincoln's coat lines, the wheat stalks, the lettering, the luster, and any tiny irregularities. That one coin could easily be hiding far more potential than you realize. And in extraordinary cases where everything lines up, the grade, the mint mark, the condition, and the desirability, the value has reached an astonishing $89,000 in words at the very last.